had to be honest with myself and say, Mom, I really feel uncomfortable being kissed on the mouth. I'd rather just have a kiss on the cheek. She was really hurt. It was as if I broke up with her.
This program is brought to you by Paper, Tutors for All. The last couple of years haven't been easy for students. Kids are struggling. Schools and families are too. But what if there were new ways to help? What if tutoring was part of every student's experience? What if it was available 24/7 and free? When schools choose Paper, students get free 24/7 access to tutors. And if you're listening to this right now, there's a good chance your child's school already has Paper or will be adding it very soon. Visit paper.co and find out more.
Introducing Under Armour's Infinity High Sports Bra. Its ergonomic design is molded to support the natural movement of your body. With cord-out padding, the better breathability eliminates extra bulk without sacrificing support. And quick-dry padding is Under Armour's fastest-drying padding yet. When you're lifting heavy, running fast, and pushing yourself further than ever before, you need a bra that will help you go that extra mile and make you feel your best. Shop the Infinity High Sports Bra now at UA.com.
Shh. Welcome to the Secret Life Podcast. Tell me your secret. I'll tell you mine. Sometimes you have to go through the darkness to reach the light. That's what I did. After 12 years of recovery in sex and love addiction, I finally found my soulmate, myself. Please join me in my novel, Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict, a 4-time bestseller on Amazon. It's a brutal, honest, raw, gnarly ride, but hilarious at the same time. Check it out now on Amazon. Welcome to Secret Life Podcast. I'm Breanne Davis-Gant. Today I'm pulling back the curtains of all kinds of human secrets. We'll hear about what people are hiding from themselves and others. You know those deep, dark secrets we probably want to go to our grave with? Or those lighter, funnier secrets that are just plain embarrassing? Really, the how, what, when, where, and why of it all. Today, my guest is Nicholas. Now, Nicholas, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Ooh, dun, dun, dun. What is your secret?
My mother still goes to kiss me on the mouth.
Oh.
I'm 34 years old, to put it in perspective, and I have a girlfriend, and I've lived on my own for a long time, but she still goes in for the lip smacker.
Wow.
I didn't know that it was weird. It was just what she always did,
I have to say that I remember dating a guy that his mother would pinch him on the butt. And it always made me really uncomfortable. And
I bet.
Yeah, so it's this thing.
It's kind of a power move.
Yeah, but I have to tell you, I have a son, and I kiss him on the lips, but I don't think I do that at 34, but I don't know. So
I think there's a shelf life on it.
Yeah, when's that shelf life, by the way? What do you feel like it is?
I think it was I remember coming up against it as a kid. And
when? What age?
15. Well, I mean, forever. I think probably, getting dropped off at school in first and second grade and feeling embarrassed and oh, you don't have to be embarrassed about me, sweetie. Oh, you don't have, Nick, it's okay. I'm your mother.
I gave birth to you.
Yeah. Why are you embarrassed about me? And then and then it would turn on me. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm wrong for being embarrassed. So, I definitely, I remember at school, my first school, then a middle school, there was that whole thing. And I remember even at prom, I did not want her to come in to take pictures because I was afraid of being embarrassed, because it was kind of this I think it was a symptom of an overarching mommy issue, what I mean?
Right. Is there other things that, would she just give you too much attention and affection on top of it?
Well, I think as kids, my folks split up when I was really young, so I became a man of the house,
Right.
at 5 years old.
Like a role you should not have as a young kid.
Totally. And, I remember feeling weird about cuddling with my mom. And I remember at one point I was like, is this sex? Like, I was like so afraid. And like, seriously, my voice, I was like, could not get it out. I was like, she's like, sweetie, what is wrong? I'm like, is this sex?
You asked her that?
I asked her that.
At
I
what
didn't
age
know.
was that?
Maybe 7. I have no idea, but I remember being so scared to ask. And then it was like, but then it was that same thing of like, no, sweetie, it's fine. It's just cuddling. And so, coming into adulthood and like actually like realizing, it wasn't until I was at a birthday party. It was a big birthday party. I had a bunch of friends and it was a big celebration. And it was like right after the song, my mom plants one on me in front of everyone. And then I was giving a speech and I'm like, well, now everybody here knows my mom still kisses me on the mouth.
You said that in the speech.
Big laugh. Oh, and it was like one of those things where it's like, thank God somebody said it. You know what I mean?
Wait, what birthday was this? You have to be specific. Let us know what birthday.
Well, it was actually a sober birthday. So I was, it's probably my very first year sober. So 6 years ago. So I was like 28. Right. And it was like a huge room of people, some that I knew, some that I knew very well, and some I didn't know at all. And it was, it was funny until it wasn't funny, and then it was like the second year and the third year and then people were like, oh, here comes the kiss. And it finally got to a point where I had to be honest with myself and say, Mom, I really feel uncomfortable being kissed on the mouth. I'd rather just have a kiss on the cheek. And it was one of those big conversations of like back when I was a kid, I'm like, I can't say it. It's too much.
Yeah.
But I finally just like kept it really light and polite. And it came up naturally and organically of just like, you know what, Mom, I think I'd be more comfortable with a peck on the cheek. She was really hurt. It was as if I broke up with her. And I think that's, I didn't obviously break up with my mother. She's still my mother, always will be. And there was some heartbreak that I could see. And I think that I felt some heartbreak too, that there was an end of a certain innocence that had been kept alive.
Right. Like an end of an era or an end of that relationship.
Totally. That version of the relationship.
Do you think she was always holding on to that little kid of you and not seeing you as an adult?
I know that she sees me as an adult and the man that I've come into, for the longest time. She knew my other secret, which was that I'm a big stoner.
What?
Oh my gosh. It was the secret. It was the world's worst kept secret because I thought I was like Mr. Secret Agent Stoner, but in reality, I mean, people on Mars knew that I was stoned, I mean, you could just tell my gait.
Right.
And also my braids. But the real secret was the secret that I was keeping from myself about that is that, I actually don't want to smoke anymore. I'm actually tired of getting high. I remember that I would quit. I would decide to quit while stoned and then forget that I'd made that decision until I got stoned again.
So how much are you talking that you were smoking?
A couple joints a day,
Like when you woke up, you just hit it?
Oh, all the time, as much as I could. It was like, and there was like I had this weird mentality that like it was part of my identity.
Oh my God. I know a friend like that. She literally will smoke right when she wakes up. She says it's like for her anxiety and she can get through the day, but she would do it all the time. And I kept looking at her going, but that's not normal to use that as to get out of bed.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I was all about the wake and bake, and I thought it made me funnier, and I thought it made me like more connected to spirit and more in touch and more creative. But it also made me more isolated and more anxious, Oh my gosh. I had it was like, oh, this is for my anxiety. It's like, no, the only anxiety I have is that I don't have enough pot. Like that was where my anxiety lied. And because, and I would see people that were really functional. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. It doesn't make sense to like be good at getting high all the time. Like that shit, like that was my goal. It's like, I just want to make this work. It's like, no, bro.
It's not
like
working.
not working at all. I had and I remember it was like right towards the end of my smoking, I'd torn my shoulder rock climbing stone, which doesn't make, any sense. And then went surfing immediately afterwards as if that would help. I mean, those were that was
Oh
my
my
thinking. That was what
God.
made sense to me. I had a whole alter ego at the time too. I was such a different person that my friends would call me a different name. I went from Nicholas, Nicky to Nico to Magnus because I would just get huge. My personality would blow up and I'd be the crazy guy jumping off of stuff and, saying stupid things and, cutting holes in blankets to put my head through and just like.
See, but I have to tell you a secret. I didn't smoke pot until about 5 years ago.
Oh, how was that?
It was, I didn't even think I was high until I started giggling. And I was like, oh, I guess this is it. But I've probably only done it a couple of times, but it wasn't a thing for me. So I'm so curious and fascinated by people that would do it all the time.
That's so funny. I guess this is it. That should be like
And just so you know,
catchphrase.
that's the only drug I've ever done. Like I'm like the cleanest sex and love addict, obviously, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's funny because I think that like a lot of people don't even realize that pot is a drug or think of it as a drug. It's legal now, but I think that with the legalization, people are gonna come to realize that it's, not for everybody.
Yeah.
And that was something that I had to get honest with myself about.
When did that happen?
That happened a couple years before I stopped drinking as well. So that's been about 8 years ago, 2012. I remember very clearly, it was Friday the 13th of July in 2012.
Wow.
And there was fear of the world ending at 2012. And it was Friday the 13th. And somehow I was staying at my mom's house because I was rehabilitating from the shoulder surgery. And I was keeping my pot in this tree, like up the road.
Oh my
I came back and it was gone.
I'm just picturing you like trying to hobble out with your shoulder, like digging in a tree, trying to find your pot.
Seriously, scrambling up a hill and then not being able to find it. These damn kids found my weed. I'm like, okay, this is a good enough day one. So thankfully, it's stuck and I've managed to keep it. And my mom just actually revealed the secret to me. She said, it was just recently, she says, Nick, do you know that big jar of pot you asked me to hold for you? I said, yeah, you said you lost it. She says, well, I was lying. I didn't lose it. I still have it.
Oh my God.
I was like, well, you should probably throw it out or like braid it into make some jeans out of it. But, it was like one of those things where, because she loved me so much, which is like, to bring it back to like the initial secret of like having to like set a boundary, which to me was like, we were a no boundary house.
Yeah.
And or at least we didn't make the boundaries. That's for sure. And so, there's a lot of love and she was able to see very clearly that I had these tendencies. So when when I did have to say to her, like, listen, I feel much more comfortable, especially like having a relationship. Like, boy, did I feel uncomfortable when my mom kissed me goodbye in front of my girlfriend. Like,
oh yeah, that is so uncomfortable. I can imagine. I mean, did your girlfriend say anything afterwards?
Oh yeah, she didn't shame me or like make me wrong or make it weird. It was kind of like, but it was another one of those elephants in the room where I'm like, it's nice to be honest in a relationship and be like, yeah, it's kind of been weighing on me and now it's really weighing on me because like you're my girl, she's not my girl, she's my mother, so it's if anything, it gave an opportunity to like set that boundary. But I also didn't want to lie and create another secret where, it's it makes her really, Mom, it makes her really uncomfortable if you wouldn't do it. Like I didn't shun it off onto her and make it about my girlfriend. It was like, Mom, I'm not comfortable with this anymore. As opposed to like something that I would have done in the past, which would be make an excuse for someone else to where I don't have to take ownership of it.
But how powerful that is, that you could sit there and tell the person that bring you into this world, like, this is not okay anymore. You can't treat me like your little boy. Like, this has to stop. How was afterwards with her? Did it take some, moments of uncomfortable between you and your mother?
I feel like it's more uncomfortable for her. Like, I see that now. I actually just saw her for the first time in like 6 months because of the quarantine and sheltering in place. And we saw her this weekend. And, when she goes to like say goodbye, she kind of makes it awkward. And I could feel her like making it awkward to make it more comfortable, if that makes sense.
That completely makes sense, that you like over awkward it and like, so I'm not going to kiss you on the mouth. Don't worry, son.
Exactly. It's like she goes, and she's sweet. And she is, she has been the best mom. And she has, she had a second marriage and had twins. So they're kind of just now coming into their own sense of their manhood. They're 20 years old. So she has always had like babies and kids. She's been a mom for, like 34 years straight. And I think it's really wrapped up, not to like totally make up what her story is, but I'm sure that being a mom is a big part of her identity. Yeah. So when I can claim my own manhood and, give me a great big hug and kiss me on the cheek if you want. And I don't mind kissing you back. It's just like a simple not a French kiss, but like, the side and that's it. Cause it doesn't have to be, I don't think that a relationship any relationship has to be defined by actions. There are some, but it's more about the feeling and the love that is there, that is a constant frequency. It's like a tone. It's like the background noise, so like my love is not defined on whether or not she can kiss me on the mouth or not. I love her for who she is and who she isn't at the same time. But I can see the awkwardness.
Yeah, but I can even feel being a mom. Like, I have to even stop myself from telling my 2-year-old, like, I made you, like, you're my property. And it's like, that's not healthy. I
am responsible for your existence.
Yeah. I can imagine if you were just a mom for 34 years and you grew this child and you helped mold them to who they are, that is a huge loss for her. I can feel it as a mother. Did you know that 1 in 8 couples struggle with fertility? And the risk of miscarriage, that's more common than breast cancer or diabetes. The challenges of your fertility journey, we don't talk about them enough. We assume that when you're ready to have kids, it will be easy, but that just isn't the case for everyone. The journey can be expensive, mystifying, and full of disappointment and shame, but there is hope. You are not alone. On the new podcast, Baby or Bust, host Dr. Laura Shaheen, an OBGYN and reproductive endocrinologist, answers your questions, dispenses the myths, and transforms disappointment into hope. Every episode of Baby or Bust features interviews with experts and real-life fertility survivors to explore answers to questions like, should I put my hips up afterwards? Should I eat pineapple to help the embryo implantation? Boxers versus briefs. When do you know it's the right time to have a baby? Will plastic and toxins kill my egg? What really causes a miscarriage? Join Dr. Shaheen every week for practical approaches for your fertility journey. You are not alone, really. Find Baby or Bust on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
As someone living with lung cancer, speaking up and being proactive during this cancer journey is absolutely critical.
Self-advocating can play a big role when dealing with lung cancer, but it doesn't need to be daunting. Try preparing questions you want to ask your doctor at your next appointment, confirming when you are unsure or have concerns, and asking about biomarker testing, which may help your doctor select an appropriate treatment.
I hope anyone who's diagnosed with lung cancer, whatever the stage, is willing to speak up, ask questions, assemble a support team, and fight.
Visit bit.ly/SoundUp for lung cancer for links to resources and to learn about SoundUp, a patient-inspired, community-led campaign supported by Novartis to empower people affected by lung cancer.
Even though it's appropriate, those boundaries need to be set. I mean, I have to tell you that that boyfriend I had, the mom that would grab his butt, I had to say something to her. I had to say, when you he's my boyfriend, he's not yours. Please don't touch him on the butt like that.
Good for you. How did that go?
It actually went good. I mean, it was that awkward. Like, then every time I saw her, or she saw him, she would like go towards his butt and then be like, "Oh, sorry. I know I should," So it was that like
same
over
kind of like
awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, that against the grain, to go with the grain.
Yeah. But it opened up a whole, like, it was like every like weirdness was out in the open, and it actually made the relationship really good. So I think what you did is so powerful. And as a mom, I need to hear this because I don't want to make my son, when he gets older, uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that it has definitely created more of a space and a container for us to be open and honest. Having just seen her, not seen her for 6 months, and then seeing her, it was like of information from her to me. And I'm like, wow, I'm realizing that I'm in this unique position to really hear what's going on with her, and be like a point of safety. And I was like, how great that she can share all this with me in a way that, not to say she can't share it with anyone else, but I think that it's put me in a position to be there for her in a way that maybe I wouldn't have been able to had I not set a boundary like that and been honest with her, because I think secrets breed more secrets, whereas honesty brings more honesty and openness and a level playing field where everything is out in the open.
But it's also, when you're talking right now, I feel like instead of just being her son now, you're almost her equal. Parents and kids, their relationships change over the years. And sometimes people get stuck in them, especially parents, because you look at your kid and you still see them as this young kid. But when those boundaries are set, it like, now you guys can be friends.
Sure. Yeah, I can be there for her in a way that I wasn't able to before. And I'm the firstborn. And so I think that it's important for her to have a good relationship with me. It's important for me to have a good relationship with her as well. But just so that I can be an example for my younger siblings, that, it's that our mom doesn't have to be this person that we make crazy somehow, because that can be the easy thing to do, like, oh, that's mom being mom. That's like
that's needy mom.
She's a human. Again. She has feelings, and she, is in this position where she birthed our whole team, and now we're all humans and we're all individuals. And how do we relate to one another openly? Because I don't want to have anything in between my love for her. I don't want to withhold love. I did that long enough, and it did not work out for me. It caused me to go and act out in all these other ways.
Well, I always like to take these kind of secrets, especially with the one with your mom, and I like to tie the 7 deadly sins to them, not in the religious sense, more in the character defect sense, where they lie for you and why. So let me name them for you. We got pride, greed, lust, gluttony, envy, anger, and sloth. So does any of those attach to why you didn't tell your mom for so long, keeping that secret?
I think definitely sloth, of like, oh, it'll sort itself out. And if anything, I think sloth could be replaced with denial. I just had that realization right now. I got chills. The idea that like, oh, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. It only comes up at Thanksgiving, and, where it's, like, actually, no, it is a big deal. And like, having gone years without saying like, ma,
that makes me uncomfortable.
It's not working for me, ma. So I think definitely that. And I would, I'm sure I could relate all of these, having anger that she couldn't read my mind and couldn't and that she had, boundaries that most people might consider reasonable, and envy of other people's, or like, oh, envy of so-and-so's mom, because she doesn't do that. and
Right.
and then absolutely my pride being affected that like, oh, why is this something that I have to do, or I shouldn't have to do this? Doesn't she realize that
Yeah.
that's wrong? I'm not going to, like dignify. I shouldn't have to set a boundary, that kind of thing. So I can see how a lot of these intertwined with it. And because, I'm often reminded that it's never one thing.
Yeah. Well, I love also seeing like holding that secret for so many
Mm.
years. Who did it benefit and who did it harm, do you think?
Well, I think it harmed me and my relationship to her
Hmm.
because I wasn't able to be as honest with her about other things because there was this other thing that was there. There was still something in the room there, or there was something in the way, metaphorically between us being close because I wasn't being completely honest with her. It's like, one of my favorite teachers says it only takes a little bit of shit on the bottom of your shoe to make your whole car
You
smell.
smell totally.
It's like there's only takes a little bit of dishonesty or withholding honesty or withholding some truth to create a dynamic or a tension. So I was definitely, we were both harmed by me not being honest with her because she had no beef with it, and that's fine. She can,
Yeah.
that's okay. It's okay for her not to have beef with it. It's okay for her to kiss. It's okay for her to kiss my other siblings if they're okay with it. It's just that by me, it was harming the two of us, our relationship, our dynamic by having that little bit of shit in the room.
Yeah, because you're probably pulling away even when you're not aware you're pulling away.
Totally. Oh my gosh. The idea of like, we'd be playing a game and it's like, oh, like she's getting under my skin in a certain way,
Hmm.
where it's like when it's reality, it's like, it's not about the way that she's rolling the dice in this board game. It's the way in that, you know, and it's the fact that she still smooches me and how it makes me feel makes me feel inferior, or it makes me feel like I'm a kid. It reverts me back to that kid of like being in trouble and having to please mommy, and as long as mommy's okay then everybody's okay, like that's not, or like, or bending my point of view or my opinion to suit her so that then we'll be safer. Like as long as I agree with her, then everyone's going to be okay, then I'll be okay.
Wow.
Or like keeping secrets from her about school, like stupid stuff, like schoolwork projects where like I just don't want her involved because
Yeah, because you didn't want another thing she was just like enmeshed with that way.
totally the enmeshing quality.
Do
So
you think it actually affected your relationships?
yeah, I think it affected my intimate relationships with women to
Yeah.
where I was looking for them to save me. I was looking to be rescued or to feel whole with a woman, or like for a woman to complete me. I'm ready to be completed, world. And
God, we're always looking for something to complete us. Like,
there, yeah, there's another half out there that
oh my
that
God, I
I need that's
hate
going to
that.
fit into all the pockets, and then everything that's empty will now be filled.
That's why I don't believe in like soulmates. They believe like you're cut in half and your other soul's out there and you have to reunite to be whole. And I'm like, ugh,
That
gag
doesn't sound
me.
reasonable. Yeah, that sounds that sounds like a fantasy. And growing up and watching all those fantasy movies, I think definitely you know perpetuated that, and the idea that like my mom is this like big presence, this like superwoman that
Hmm.
like and that everything's got to be okay with her for me to be okay definitely went into my other relationships. And I think that's why I probably didn't have a good shelf life with them. And like, to be honest, like I was often a real shithead kid and young adult, and being stoned all the time definitely didn't help. So if I wasn't her son, she probably wouldn't have kept up a relationship with me, which which is probably why I couldn't keep a relationship for the longest time.
Wow. Well, my last question for you, because you've already really moved through this, you've had that conversation with her. If someone out there is listening and they have, an enmeshing thing or something that makes them uncomfortable with their parents, what would be your advice for them?
I think having that conversation of like, and because our parents love us, and
Yeah.
I think our parents, they've only been guided to love their children the way that their parents taught them. And, you know, 2 generations back is not a long time ago, but it's a totally different culture.
Totally different.
And so, you talk to any mother or father, like, what do you want more than anything in your life? It's like, oh, I want to be happy, and I want my kids to be happy. So I think that if one of our, if someone is not happy in a relationship with their parents, I would suggest having that conversation. Like, hey, mom, dad, I want to have a conversation. And then like teeing it up. There's something so powerful about like, hey, I want to have a conversation about something. Is now a good time? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like out of the realm of like, what? It's like, no, it's not. I got to, gift wrap these presents, or yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
I'm hungry. It's not a good time if I'm hungry right now.
Oh my gosh, please. Like, I get emergency hunger in about 2 seconds from
Oh my God. I
regular
turn into a
hunger.
nightmare. I'm like, get away from me.
Don't just give me a bar, and on my way to the restaurant. And but there's something about like setting it up for success. Like, yeah, is now a good time? I'd love to check in with you about something. Listen, I've been feeling uncomfortable about X.
Mhm.
And what's happened, like the result has been Y. And I don't like Y. I want Z, like and for, my example, like, mom, I like, I don't feel comfortable with you kissing me. It's made me like kind of withhold love from you and shrink up a little bit and kind of seize up and in a way be afraid of you and kind of like hold back love from you. And I
Yeah.
don't like that. I want to live in Z land, which is, I want to live in World War Z, where we can be open with our love and kind and compassionate and like appropriate. I want to have some, I want to have that where, someone who's looking in, like a partner or a friend, wouldn't feel uncomfortable from that,
Yeah.
and that is like who can deny that?
Yeah, because it's coming from a place of love. I think when you come from a place of love and understanding, like that used to be okay. It's just not okay anymore. But I still love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But it makes
nothing
me
changes.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it's funny because it can be, it's like I don't want to like, like even just the idea, like hearing it makes me uncomfortable. That to me is almost like it's almost a little bit of there's a little bit of a throw, like a little bit of a barb thrown.
Mm,
I like to keep it all on my side of the street. Like, I feel uncomfortable when I get kissed by you. You
right.
know, it's like, it's not like you make me uncomfortable when you kiss me. To me, that's like, oh, that's like shots fired. As
That's like
opposed to,
fighting words.
yeah, I get when we kiss, I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I hear that. Even me, I just hear it coming through my own headphones. It's like, oh yeah, there's like 0 degrees. It's just the fact that I get left with this feeling when this happens.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing this secret and your story with us.
My pleasure. I feel so relieved right
I do
now.
too. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
thank
a
you,
relief. My
honestly,
pleasure.
truly.
My pleasure. So nice to connect.
And if you want to be on the show, please email me at secretlifepodcast@icloud.com. Until next time. Thanks again for listening to the show. Please subscribe, rate, share, or send me a note at secretlifepodcast.com. And if you like to check out my book, head over to secretlifenovel.com or Amazon to pick up a copy for yourself or someone you love. Thanks again. See you soon.
Could family genetics be a reason that no matter what we try, we still can't lose the fat and inches from our problem areas? To learn more, we spoke to Dr. Brian Strand from Sonobello.
While some people can eat everything and stay thin, others diet and exercise daily and still pack on fat and inches to their problem areas. It's not your fault. It can be genetics. If you struggle to lose the fat from your tummy, love handles, thighs, and back, you're likely battling your family genetics. The good news is we have an answer. Sonobello uses a remarkable technique called microlaser fat removal. In one comfortable visit, the fat in your hardest places to lose is gone permanently.
Stop wrestling with your family genes and lose the fat permanently. And right now, you can save $250. The results are life-changing. Do this for you. Don't wait. Visit sonobello.com/save. sonobello.com/save. sonobello.com/save.